Over the last few decades, there's been a shift in the way that people think about church. And this is just really kind of a smaller part of a bigger shift in society. We are now a society of consumers, right? And that has affected the way that people think about church as well. Church is becoming something that people see as a place where I can get content, right? That this is where I receive my spiritual content. I go there and I get things. It's all about what I receive, right? This consumer kind of idea. And now part of this is right. Right? So we do go to church to receive. We go to receive forgiveness from the Lord and to receive His body and blood in the sacrament. We don't go to church to give something to God. A church is about God giving things to us. So part of this is not a bad thing. But we also recognize that if we are just thinking about church as a place where we get to consume content, well, we're missing a lot of what the Bible has to say about church. When the Bible talks about churches, it often portrays them as a family, right? And that is reflected in our third core value that we want to be a family of believers. So a church is not a social club, right? A church is a place where law and gospel are proclaimed and God's word is heard and the sacraments are administrated. However, there is this relational aspect of churches. We have a relational God. Right? He is three persons in one God, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And we are created in His image, and that means that we are relational beings. Remember when God created Adam, he was all alone. Remember what God said? It's not good for the man to be alone. And still, this is true today that we are created to be social creatures, to interact. This is something that everybody needs, this relationship thing that God gives us in a church. So we are designed, right, to be not isolated but connected. This is a tremendous issue right now. Our world is more isolated than it's ever been, which is interesting because we're more in some ways connected or have the potential to connect more than we ever have with the technology that we enjoy. And yet what that technology has done is it's isolated us, right? It ends up making us separate from other people and cutting us off. There's a pandemic of loneliness right now in the world. If you look at this is not just Christians realizing this, that um, this is something affecting all people, that with the shutdowns that we've seen over the last couple of years, combined with the isolating effects of technology, that loneliness is such a big problem in our world right now, and that affects Christians too. And so, God know that we need relationships, that we need connections. He has placed us each into a church, not a place where we are there to simply consume, but a place where we are there to connect with others as well. And so, family of believers, right? We recognize, I think, that this is such an important aspect of a church. Whenever you read about the early Christian church, you're blown away. Of course, first of all, by their commitment to hearing God's word. That's the most important thing. And ours too, right? Worship and teaching God's word are two first core values. But there's also this very other important thing as well, this family of believers. And that's what we strive for as well. So, how would it look for us at St. Paul's to continue to improve in being a family of believers? Well, I think the number one thing that we can do is continue to worship together and to study God's Word together. The primary thing that happens when we study God's Word and when we worship is we are drawn closer to God vertically. But a nice secondary result is the horizontal connection that we gain as well with the people around us. It's wonderful to me when before church or after church in the narthex out here, I see people talking to one another and asking each other how they're doing. This is a perfect time to do that, right? During worship or before and after worship and Bible study. So continue to emphasize that and to worship together. We'll also, as a church, continue to try to provide opportunities for fellowship outside of church. So this summer already we've had a hike, we've got a church baseball game coming up, we've had moms groups getting together for play dates for the kids. So other important ways as well to connect with each other, recognizing, of course, that worship and Bible study are going to be the best ways to do that. And then the third thing, I guess, that we can do is just, I guess, continue to do what you're already doing, right? Reach out to your friends if you know that they are having a hard time, or someone that you haven't seen in a while. Text them, right? You call them, see how they're doing, check in. That's a family of believers, and it warms my heart to see you guys doing that already. So let's keep doing that. Right? Let's continue to grow as a family of believers and ask that the Lord would help us to do that.